This video is brought to you by Brilliant. Today, North Korean troops train for deployment in Ukraine. The UK prepares to be questioned on slavery reparations, and Turkey responds to an apparent terror attack. From TLDR News, this is your daily briefing for Thursday the 24th of October 2024. Hundreds of North Korean troops have been filmed at military bases in Russia's Far East, in what Kyiv and Western allies say are training exercises for their deployment in Ukraine. 12,000 North Korean soldiers have reportedly been sent to help Russia retake the Kursk region, which has been partly held by Ukraine since their surprise incursion in August. The deployment of North Korean troops would be the first time foreign soldiers have been involved in the Russia-Ukraine war since it started in February 2022. That said, North Korea has already been providing artillery munitions and other weapons to Russia, including the KN-23 ballistic missile, and has also provided military officers to help oversee their use. Russia has reportedly become increasingly reliant on North Korean support as the war has gone on, with Western intelligence estimates this month suggesting that half of all artillery shells being used by Russian forces in Ukraine are now being provided by North Korea. The two countries have also been ramping up their diplomatic exchanges over the past 18 months. In June, Russian President Vladimir Putin travelled to the North Korean capital Pyongyang for the first time in 24 years to sign a comprehensive strategic partnership treaty with Kim Jong-un. During Putin's visit, Kim said North Korean-Russian relations were entering a period of new high prosperity, with North Korean state media also saying that the Russian-North Korean partnership was an engine for accelerating the building of a new multipolar world. Anyway, let's get back to the issue of North Korean troops and how they might affect the war. According to Ukrainian military analysts quoted by the Financial Times, the 12,000-strong force is probably too small to turn the tide of the war, as Russia would need to double its 50,000-soldier contingent in Kursk to push Ukraine's troops out and make gains along the Ukrainian front line. However, the broader impact also depends on where and how the North Korean troops are deployed. While North Korea has one of the largest armies in the world, it relies primarily on mass, and its soldiers aren't battlefield tested. This means that if they're sent into new areas against state-of-the-art NATO-supplied weaponry, they would likely become cannon fodder, with severe casualties, and most soldiers being killed by drones or Western tank fire. Alternatively, if they're sent to fight in the Donbass region, which the West views as Ukrainian territory, this would be viewed by NATO as a gross violation of international law, and it would effectively justify the proportionate use of force by Ukraine, including foreign soldiers, to counter any subsequent Russian advances. One less obvious consideration is the risk of defections. North Korean soldiers under Russian command will be exposed to freedoms they've never experienced before, such as mobile phones and social media, with an international connection, a higher standard of living, and even higher quality cigarettes. They'll also likely be treated as inferior by the Russian military, which has already led to a disproportionate number of deaths among ethnic minority soldiers, including Buryat and Kalmyk Mongols, Tuvans and Yakuts. So, what's been the international response so far? Well, South Korea is now reportedly considering sending offensive weapons to Ukraine, breaking their rule not to send weapons to countries in combat. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol has vowed he won't sit idle and has described the North Korean deployment as a provocation that threatens global security beyond the Korean Peninsula and Europe. Meanwhile, US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin called the development very, very serious and warned of impacts not only in Europe but also in the Indo-Pacific, where tensions on the Korean Peninsula have been rising for months. There's more on the way, but remember to subscribe and ring the bell for more daily briefing tomorrow. Plus, if you want to support the channel like Josh Foster, then consider joining the TLDR Daily Membership Programme for just $1.99. The biennial meeting of Commonwealth leaders is set to begin on Friday, with Commonwealth leaders pushing to have meaningful conversations with the UK about reparatory justice for the transatlantic slave trade. The Foreign Minister of the Bahamas, Frederick Mitchell, told the BBC's Today programme that once you broach the subject, it may take a while for people to come around, but come around they will. Currently, the text of the draft summit communique states that heads of government, noting calls for discussions on reparatory justice with regard to the transatlantic trade in enslaved Africans and chattel enslavement, agreed that the time has come for a meaningful, truthful and respectful conversation towards forging a common future based on equity. The UK has so far ruled out paying financial reparations, but a Downing Street source has hinted that the government is open to other forms of reparatory justice, such as educational programmes, museum building, public health assistance, or even an official apology. They also added that reparations are not a priority for the Commonwealth, and that while they are expecting to be pushed on it, the UK government's position hasn't changed. Moving to Turkey now, where 5 people have been killed and 22 injured in what seems to be a terror attack at the headquarters of a state-owned defence and aerospace company just 25 miles outside of Ankara. The attack took place on Wednesday, and at the time of recording, no group has yet claimed responsibility for the attack. That said, the Turkish Defence Ministry has claimed to have launched airstrikes in northern Iraq and northern Syria against the Kurdistan Workers' Party, or PKK, in response to the attack. Speaking about the attack, President Recep Erdogan said, "I condemn this heinous terrorist attack and wish mercy on our martyrs." Moving to the UK now, where the government has confirmed that disposable vapes will be banned in England and Wales from June next year. Now, the move was first announced in January by the previous Conservative government, although the current Labour government has made it clear that they will also push ahead with it. The plan is designed to prevent environmental damage and protect children's health. The Department of Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, or DEFRA, has estimated that around 5 million single-use vapes were either littered or thrown away every week last year, which was a 4 times increase from the year before. For their part, vaping industry leaders have warned that the decision could cause a rise in illegal sales of vapes. The government, though, is hoping that the ban will improve public health. In our final story today, we discuss British actor Idris Elba's plans to support filmmaking in sub-Saharan Africa. Elba, who was born in London to a father from Sierra Leone and mother from Ghana, has previously said that he wants to build a film studio in Tanzania, and has now also announced his plans to relocate to Africa in the next 5 to 10 years. Speaking to the BBC, Elba said, "If you watch any film or anything that's got to do with Africa, all you're going to see is trauma. How we were slaves, how we were colonised, how it's just war, and when you come to Africa, you'll realise that it's not true. So it's really important that we own those stories of our tradition, of our culture, of our languages, of the differences between one language and another. The world doesn't know that." Now, what's something that the TLDR audience have in common? They're willing to learn something new every day. And while our videos are a pretty good start, a lot of stuff we talk about can seem pretty complicated, especially when we dive into analytics and detailed data. Luckily, there's a fun and easy way to learn more, which also doesn't cost thousands of dollars or take years of schooling. That's because Brilliant is the best way to learn by doing, with thousands of interactive lessons in maths, data analysis, programming, and AI. Each lesson is filled with hands-on problem solving, broken into tiny accessible chunks, designed around your busy schedule. This means that by spending just a few minutes a day, you can accumulate new knowledge over time in an actually fun way, and you'll also feel the satisfaction that comes with bettering yourself and staying ahead. For instance, perhaps you promised yourself that this year you'll learn some programming skills, but there just hasn't been enough time, and the year is now coming to an end. Brilliant's growing number of programming courses are a great way to build foundations and learn real-world applications with courses on Python, essential coding elements like loops and variables, and even developing your mind to think like a programmer. To try everything Brilliant has to offer free for a full 30 days, visit brilliant.org/TLDR or scan the QR code on screen, or you can click the link in the description. That way you'll also get 20% off an annual premium subscription. Thanks for your support.